into the ocean right here, making a move on Chairman Report, big time.
It's a feeling that's hard to describe. All I can tell you is that it's a feeling that I love, and it's the feeling of being on the edge. You know, you go out there in about 3 to 5 foot seas at 110 miles an hour, and the track is never the same, so you're always on the edge, and I guess I like that feeling. It's just a scary feeling, but the adrenaline rush is something I can't explain.
Professional offshore powerboat racing. It's high-tech, high speed, and a highway like no other. Offshore racing in and of itself is one of the most exciting and thrilling motorsports in all the world. It's raw horsepower, blinding speed, and state-of-the-art technology. It's guts and glory for two men strapped in a space-age cockpit. One drives, one throttles, and both men become one. They are the boys of summer. They are the men of offshore racing.
Hey, the Hall of Shame.
All the adulation.
Oh, yeah. I was never much, for self-promoting, but I do have a few odds and ends here. I'm Bob Kaiser. I raced offshore powerboats 14 years on the national circuit, and obviously been retired a long time, but got back into the sport somewhat by buying a bunch of MTI boats and kind of got the fever back, and have acquainted with myself with my old friends like Steve Curtis and some other fellow racers from the day. And my son was done playing Division I hockey. He had to quit because of injuries, and so I said, what the heck, I need something to do, so we went back to screwing around with the race boats.
Well, I met him a long time ago, back when he was boat racing, and we were running a very small S-Class 24 skater with 200s, and he was running one of the Systems boats, and I didn't really know him, I just knew of him. He was at the races with us, but that's how far back it goes.
Bob Kaiser of Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan, has been in professional offshore racing since the early 80s. Now in his early 40s, he has become a living legend in the sport of professional offshore racing.
I always had fast boats. I was on Lake St. Clair. I was growing up on the lake, grew up in boats with my mother and father, and had a 18-foot Donzi when I was 15 years old. I went to see a boat race down the river, saw Betty Cook and the Faber Shoe boys and all those guys racing. I said to myself, I could do that. And so I just kind of I would race against this out on the lake at 17 years old. I'd go against these 28 Magnums, and I'd try to race them, and they'd beat me, and my boat went like 60, and they went like 70, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go faster, I gotta go faster. And then went to college, came back, bought a cigarette, went out, saw a race, said, I'm gonna do that. And somehow I managed to do it. I just started washing boats like Steven did. Got on a crew, got into another boat, smaller divisional boat, modified class, and then did some regional races. And then I went to the national circuit on a Class 1 boat, and we didn't have great success, 84, 85, and then I teamed up with Errol Lanier, and then the real racing began.
Well, racing against Bob, we've raced together a couple of times, not that many, but Bob always, raced with Red Crane to start off with, who I don't think was the greatest throttle man with Bob, but when Bob hooked up with Errol was just a lunatic, so you always knew that he was going to run the pants off of it, he was going to run hard and stuff like that. So the two of them, pretty much it was nice if they broke, because you didn't have to run so hard because he would just go out and run crazy hard. So I think as the two of them together were a real fierce combination in the boat. Obviously Bob was absolutely fearless, didn't care, and Errol was going to try and scare him, so they were just pushing each other all the time. So we've had a lot of good races, but I think when Bob was really hitting his height, I moved back to Europe and was starting to race over there when Bobby was dominating, I guess, what could be said, in the mid-80s, etc.
The eye of the pressure cooker, Bob Kaiser and the Systems boat, leading the nation by how many points?
I think 46 and 50 that way, according to Patchy and Jesse James.
And you're in the last race of the season. A little pressure today?
Yeah, a lot of pressure, a lot more pressure than I've had before, but just gonna have to go out there and beat those two boats. That's my goal. I mean, to do anything, I have to finish ahead of Jesse James and Apache, so that's my race right there.
Oh, he just had one of the coolest boats out there. He had his boat, he had a Porsche on the front of the trailer, and when he rolled up, everybody was, oh my God, you know, so it was really cool. As a very young racer back then, we looked up to him and Al and a whole bunch of the Superboat guys, and it was just something that was we thought unattainable at that time, but it was cool. Bobby's been doing it for a long time.
Kaiser had not only become a champion offshore racer, but he had become a celebrity as well. He had excelled in the high-speed world of offshore racing and now found himself a favorite among race fans, the media, and the rich and famous. He counted many celebrities and Hollywood stars as friends and competitors, and he knew them all, and they knew him. Names like Ivana Trump, Don Johnson, Kurt Russell, Popeye's Al Copeland, Chuck Norris, and many others from the world of show business were on hand as Bob Kaiser's star became bright.
So offshore powerboat racing it's never the same, right? It's the fear. I like to go in really fast in rough water in those days, and for some unknown reason. But I thought that, you know, I kept myself pretty physically fit, and I thought that if I had the endurance, I could hold on and go faster for a longer period of time in rough water than most people.
Obviously, if you're stronger, you have more endurance, and you can take more risk, which makes you go faster, and hopefully overall you get that checkered flag. Inside the enclosed canopies now, we're actually strapped into the boat like the race cars, and we're sitting on about 14-inch cushion, but nevertheless, you're taking the beating with the hull. You're the boat and you are one. So there's about three elements in my life. It's my family and friends, my business, and my boat racing. I love boat racing. I live to boat race. I live to race. I love the challenge, and of course I love my family and friends. But more importantly, as far as a business aspect, is keeping myself financially secure enough to be doing these things is my business, and it takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of time on my part. So we have to do a lot of work on the road because of our schedule with the racing, but as long as there's a telephone nearby, I can usually handle things.
You know, the problem is when I think back in the career, which is not anywhere near like Stevens, right? I had a great career, but my success was within 6 years, and I tried to go faster than everybody else and did some crazy things with motors and drives, and just I wish I would have done things differently on the second and third boat, right? I should have just gone with the Mercury package and finished races instead of being the fastest. I mean, our turbo development with Gentry Turbo and McLaren and General Motors and Chevrolet was incredible, but you know, there was a lot of races I didn't finish on that second boat, or that third boat. And I guess my memorable experience is winning the US1, right? That's the granddaddy of them all in my mind is US1, because it's a 10-race circuit, and then there was a cumulative points as there is in NASCAR, and that's hard to win.
After years of concentrated effort, Bob Kaiser had realized his dream. In 1986, he had been crowned world champion. In 1987, he became US1 national champion. Bob Kaiser had become the best of the best.
The number is going to be the new number on the pole. That's the new number next year.
All right. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. The happiest fifth place I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, and remember, we were pushing the boats, right? The boats were, the power and the technology and of the boats in those days, they couldn't keep up with one another, right? So where the boats were flying to make them go fast, you know, now the boats are flat. You know, like the MTI runs flat. We used to run the boat like that, right? We used to just dance it, right? And then obviously that caused a lot of problem. The most problem in the day was stuffing the boat, right? You go up, you hit the fifth wave, and you get tripped by one, and the nose would go down, and then stuff, and the water would hit the driver or the throttle man and break their necks or take, you know. was a bad deal. Then I was the first one to develop, not to develop, but the first one in offshore to be in a canopy in '87. And unfortunately, I was the first one, I think, to try that out in an official race, because I spun out in Key West the first race I had. That was my line. I was lucky we had the canopies. We know they work. Unfortunately, I was the one that tested that they did work. And so we pushed it, and then I held my little daughter at that World Championship, and she had a little Systems cap. I think I was racing for Budweiser at the time, and I have pictures of her and a tickler on her and everything. And then, I went out with Steven, and it's probably not the smartest guy to go in there if you want to have a careful race. And but I was with him, and then, like I said, we took that first jump, and I was like, damn, I hope I don't die today. And then I had it in my mind, right? And I was done, so I knew I was done.
Bob Kaiser may have won his last checkered flag, but he will never stop winning. Because in the race we all must run, his name will always be at the top of the leaderboard. The Bob Kaiser story. Because a legend leaves his mark.
I met him in Key West with Jeff Sofer, and we went out for a demo ride on a 48. He loved it, said, I want to get one. So he bought a pre-owned one, and then we sold that one. He got a new 48. He bought a 39, and now he's just taking delivery on his new 50. And been a great customer, and he's having a ball, and as you folks will see, he's got quite the workshop. Yeah, he's very detailed, down to the color of the stitching, the flooring, the materials, what goes in them. And the 48, I think, came out beautiful. I mean, he did a paint job that's never been done before. It's totally different, and I think it came out great. And on the 50, he was even more picky. I mean, down to the minute details. And it came out awesome as well. So.
Randy's boats are meticulous. I like things that are meticulous. But he's got there's not many things that there's nothing on that boat I can't think of that he hasn't done. And so I think they're beautiful boats. The quality of the boats are very impressive. They're obviously an eye catcher, and they're easy to drive. I mean, they're very driver friendly. It changed my life, right? From the people I met and the successes that I had. I mean, I think it made me realize that, you put your mind to anything, it can happen. So, it took it took some time to get it right, because I had no idea what I was doing. And like anything in life is, you think you know what you're doing, but when you get into it and you're about halfway through, then you figure out that there was a lot you didn't know. But we figured it out, and we won championships, and we beat the best in the world, and we competed, and we were always a team to be reckoned with. And I think it shaped me into the man I am today, right? Like not being afraid to take chances.